So yeah, The Monkey, written directed by Osgood Perkins, his eagerly awaited follow-up to Longlegs, which we were big fans of here. This is based on a 1980s short film by Stephen King, produced by James Wan, who is no stranger to horror franchises and success himself. The Monkey, it stars Theo James, Tatiana Maslany, and Christian Convery. Theo and Christian were both playing younger and older twins. So it's always nice to see when you get a movie where people get to play two characters in it when it's not an Eddie Murphy movie. It's always great. The synopsis for the movie is very, very short. It's when twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in an attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. The siblings decide to throw the monkey away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. And if that is a complete misrepresentation of what the fuck is going on with this movie, I don't know what is. So yeah, what we normally do is we'll get stuck into just chatting about the movie, non-spoiler. We'll talk about stuff maybe you've seen the trailer, but not about anything specific spoiler-wise. And then we'll get into a more detailed spoiler version afterwards. But before we get stuck into the nitty-gritty, what are your thoughts on this one? Because we haven't talked about this at all.
No, honestly, I'm not, a little underwhelmed. Not saying the movie itself was underwhelmed. I think I had built it up in my head because of how good Longlegs was and how the reviews of this were like. Everybody was saying it was fantastic. You know, when I tell people I was going to see it this week, they're like, "Oh my god, it's supposed to be fantastic! It's brilliant!" And I was expecting something scary, and this is a comedy more than anything.
Yeah.
And but I will say it's not just written and directed; it's starring Osgood Perkins as well. He plays the uncle at the Starkman Uncle Chip or whatever his name is.
Is that him?
Cool yeah.
He's brilliant. That's it. We get that scene. It's really good.
Yeah, badass glasses. It's I don't get me wrong. I enjoyed a lot of it. I laughed out loud, and I was the only person laughing out loud in my cinema, though, which was, you know, especially when I'm the dude sitting up the front, so everybody behind me can just see me fucking laughing out loud at some of the ridiculous death scenes that we would have seen bits and pieces in the trailer. And there is some great ones, but I don't know. I think I was expecting something. I was expecting something scarier, and also I just felt I wasn't really mad on the plot. Like the connection between the brother and stuff was interesting at the start. You know, one of them's a dickhead, and one's a nice guy. But there's not really enough explanation as to when he's last talked to him, and you know, as you said, they're kind of estranged and stuff, and the stuff bringing his son into it, and there was a lot of in it. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I'm not invested in any of this. I didn't.
That's the main thing. Lack of being I don't know how to word that. Lack of being invested, or just a lack of caring, I guess, about the characters. I think it was strange. Like it's reminiscent of It, the way the structure, where it's, you know, it features a large part of the runtime as them as kids, and then it's later on them, you know, it comes back, the monkey comes back, and them dealing with it. And I think I preferred the first half of the movie, if you want to call it that, with the kids, and that's mainly because Tatiana stole the show from me.
Yeah,
I wish she was in it longer. The second half is it's almost like it's kind of tonally a little bit uneven or all over the place. It's not sure what it wants to be. Sometimes it's trying to tackle serious themes, and then is it slapstick, or is it somewhere in the middle? I think, like, I enjoyed it while I was in there, but I think if you enjoy this movie, a lot of it comes down to how much of a buzz you get out of these kind of scenario-based movies like Final Destination and stuff like that, because this is a lot more depth. Well, maybe a lot more. It's got more depth than a Final Destination movie, because I think he's a good filmmaker, and he's trying to say something with the movie. There's a lot of emphasis on death and everyone dies and stuff around that, but then they kind of touch on parenting and stuff like that, and it's all kind of bits of things, you know, like there's bits with him and his kid later on. It's like, you know, he's not estranged from his kid, but doesn't see his kid, and I don't know if that makes sense, because it's been 25 years, time jump, and nothing's happened in the 25 years. The monkey hasn't been around, so why are they so...
Actually, can I ask you in that, Daz, right? So with regards to the time jump, the time in general in it, Like it's split, as you said, between the two parts: our younger kids part, and then our today, present day. But like the flashbacks, all the stuff in the 90s looks like it's the 70s. Like 70s. People are dressed like it's the 70s. Yeah. Your man, like Chip, the Uncle Chip, looks like a character straight from the 70s. He's got his glasses are those polarized, kind of 70s, big Elvis kind of style glasses, and
warmer color grade kind of aesthetic, kind of a retro color grade.
And then when we get into present day, I know a lot of that stuff still looks super old. Yeah. Like they have granted they've got fucking smartphones and all that stuff, and I'm saying that a lot of it still looks like they haven't changed much of it. And that just
it does not look like the 90s. Like some of it's most of it's set in the 90s, and it like I've lived through the 90s.
No, I don't know. So I don't know if he's doing that on purpose or what. It's a little bit. Yeah, that kind of threw me a little bit. I was like, what? When is it set? Like,
I wish they hadn't. I wish if they just said 25 years later, like with The Substance, where they don't mention time. It's just like
but they actually do. They actually say it was 1990. He says it in his narration, doesn't it? Back it was the early 90s. I did like we'll get into it in the spoiler section, but I liked the cameo near the start. Was great.
Oh yeah,
absolutely love that. That was. Proper laugh out loud. He looks younger. He looks so young. He looks so different than he does. Yeah. But that whole scene with him in it, man, that was one of my fucking laugh out loud moments.
Yeah, the opening scene is probably the best thing in the movie for me. And that and Tatiana. But yeah, it's interesting when you say like it wasn't as engaging as I thought. But first and foremost, I was just delighted that when I was going in, I was texting you. I was like, "Oh, I'm scared this movie's going to start." Because when I was going up the escalator in the cinema, and the poster's scarier than this movie. Like the poster, you're just looking at it, going, "Oh, fucking here you go," because you just have these things in your mind of these fucking monkeys with the banging the cymbals, which I think that was the original.
It was,
thing in the short story. But when you pad out a short story, like it gives you license to an agency to really make it your own and add in extra bits and this and that, which is obviously done here. But I think the script, it's not so much paper thin, but it's not the strongest. It's not the movie's strongest element or strongest aspect. It's certain things just didn't seem to work, or they seem kind of out of place, especially like in the latter half, which we'll kind of get to. But I liked a lot of it, like the cinematography. Again, I'm drawn to the fact that I liked it, but I liked that it looked like a retro aesthetic, which gravitate towards.
I'm not complaining about how it looked at all. It's just weird that it's set in the 90s and doesn't look like that. That was just the thing that bothered me. But it looks fantastic. I love the aesthetic of it. I think. And I have gone from not liking Theo James specifically just from a character he had played in. He was the In-Betweeners movie when he was an absolute dickhead. I'd gone from like just not like you get just gravitate. That's the first time you see someone sticks in your memory as that guy's a dick. But then of course he's completely grown on me. He's great in The Gentleman, and I enjoyed him as the main brother that we see. I quite enjoyed him. Thought he was good. Some of the side characters were great. Like the girl again you see in the trailer, the one who's showing around the house, the estate agent. You know, she's that super overly friendly estate agent, like the fucking like she'd give you diabetes. She's so fucking overly sweet. Like, I thought she was hilarious for the short time she's in it. Like some of the side characters were good fun. But again, as you said, with the stories, if we can just maybe just look at that part, like there's nothing to get invested in because there's not enough time spent with these characters. If you're telling me that he only speaks to his son once a year because he's afraid, he just thinks he's bad, whatever, bad news or bad effect, whatever. I mean, there's no relationship there, at all, really. Yet he gets him like for one week a year at his birthday or something along those lines. Like, but that's weird. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then there's really interesting characters that could be more into it. Like you look at the stepdad, Elijah Wood, who I would have loved to see more of him. Like that was just so much you could have done with him. Yeah, absolutely. So much you could have done with him. With the fucking, he's at home in his own house. He has his own like books all behind him of his like of all the
propped
books
up
that
like a
he's
bookstore
written. Yeah,
shop.
propped up exactly. Yeah, like he's he's an egomaniac fucking thing.
He
just
looks like he's dressed in cycling shorts as well, drinking out of an oversized water bottle.
Yeah, he's wearing like skin tight fucking lycra. He's obviously one of these dudes who's all about body, health, and mind. And you know, there's so much you could have done with him as well. But we leave that scene very, very quickly, and we're off with him on his, as you said in the intro, we're off with him and his son on a road trip. You know, and
the thing is, you've been introduced to that relationship and that plot point halfway through the movie. Yeah, and it's like the setup with the twin brothers and their relationship being, you know, the kind of meek one, and then the fucking dickhead one, and that sets everything in motion, and then when it gets to present day, or let's say 25 years later, you're introducing his son into this mix, and then it's only a while later where the other brother comes back in, and it's kind of, it's not so much that it sags then, because I don't think the movie sags. It's very pacey and it's edited very well, but at that point you're kind of like, oh, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And for me, it just doesn't make sense, because his whole thing is, you know, I get what they're trying to say is just, you know, because this monkey and because of the shit that happened in his past, he's keeping people at a distance and doesn't want to see his son be in the fear of the monkey, you know, killing someone else close to him. But as far as the movie tells you, you have to initiate and twist the monkey for it to kill somebody, and 25 years has passed and nothing's happened with the monkey. So do you think it might be okay that, like, you can see your son? I just thought that's one of those things. I'm not sure if that's in the short story. I don't think it is, but that's been kind of jettisoned in there, and it just feels a little out of place and feels odd, and kind of tonally it's just, I don't know, it's like it belongs in a different movie or something. It lends itself to some interesting and cool funny moments, but that bit just stuck out like a sore thumb to me. That it's just like, yeah, we don't need that. Just focus on the brotherly turmoil and fucking conflict.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the gore, actually.
Yeah, the gore is great. That the scenes when they happen are just, again, laugh out loud kind of stuff. Like, you know, you watch your Final Destination and stuff like that. The thing with Final Destination is that a lot of the time there's a big build up. You're waiting for it. You're wondering what's going to happen. Oh, there's a bowling ball rolling along. Is that going to fall here? Or, oh, there's a hook on the roof. Is that what's going to do it? And you're kind of wondering what it is. Whereas in this, it's just, for the most part, it just comes back.
Most instantaneous, yeah.
And I love that. Like, it's some really, really, really funny ones. Some great practical effects as well. Obviously, there's some, you know, CGI use as well, but there's some great practical effects. And that whole one at the start, in the shop with the monkey and all the rest of it, that is just fantastic. I laugh again, just laughing out loud. It's really, really good use and a good mix of practical and CGI. That they're really, really good. I love the death scenes in it. What did you think? Because I enjoyed I really enjoyed the sound. I enjoyed the score and the soundtrack. And
the soundtrack was great. Yeah. The score was kind of minimal but used very well. But the simple, like, you kind of say sound effects and sound design, it seems it's done so well. It's like they just put a microphone next to this fucking monkey, and like from the sound design and the cinematography of just the monkey itself, I mean, the sound is eerie, and the fact that they use that I do like to be beside the seaside music to go along with it, which is this kind of joyful stuff, but just that beautiful choice that just turns it into this, when you hear it, this joyful kind of happy tune, is just this ominous, eerie, like, shit is going to fucking go down. Like, and it's just, but like the monkey himself, I just love how they tackle that, where it's shot or how it's shot. That, you know, it's an inanimate object that never moves apart from the mechanical thing it's supposed to do, and it's just shots of its face or its eyes or just a silhouette of it or whatever it is, and it's just, they do nothing, they're just putting it there, and it's the scariest fucking thing you've ever seen in your life. It's like, oh my god, it's just, and it's not one of those things, you know, where like in other movies where it's a doll or something, you're waiting for the head to turn to look at you. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have to do anything. It's just a fucking scary looking, awful prop that you'd never have in your house.
Oh, I would 100% have that right here in the shelf behind me. Next week you're going to tune in. I'll have it behind. Yeah. I loved it. I loved that. Yeah, I thought it was done really well. And like you said, the ominous music, because obviously that's the music it plays when you wind up, but also it's also this thing that it's coming. Like you hear it, you can hear it in the background. If someone saying, "Oh shit, it's about to kick off," it's like the dun 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 dun. Jaws, like you hear it. Oh shit, someone's about to get killed. Like that's it. You hear the kind of playing thinly in the background, and then it builds up and builds up.
Yeah,
and it's just it's great use of it. I thought the score as well, because you've got that really upbeat fucking upbeat soundtrack as well as the score. And it's just it's really fun sound design. I think that's something I think we mentioned in Long Legs was great as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mike and Rose heavy breathing, which I'm still dead set on.
Yeah, I remember.
Could have done without it.
But yeah, like on the performances, I mean, I think the kids, well, with the one kid actor, but the kids, it's just really good performances. Like it's.
Do you mean his son or the flashback?
Or the flashback of the kids. Yeah,
okay.
With the twins when they're younger.
Yeah. Especially
it must be hard to cast that, because you're looking for someone who can play dual roles, who can very believably play like the dickhead 3 minutes older twin, and then the meek, fucking shy, sheepish other one. It works absolutely perfectly. And the same with Theo. That later on, like even though the older twin, gets a bit kind of ridiculous towards the end, like his kind of character is kind of fucking out of control and all that, but it's a magnificent showcase of his acting talents. And I didn't really know who was he in the In-Betweeners.
He was the dickhead, like when they go on the boat. He's the guy who sells off or Jay's clothes. He goes, "I bet you I can sell these for some money."
Fucking him,
and he used to steal, go on Carly away or whatever. He's one of the reps or something.
Because I hadn't seen him in anything. I didn't know who the fuck he was.
Have you not seen the Gentleman series?
No, never watched it.
That's really definitely watch that. It's great. Again, great cast. It's really funny. It's 100% recommend that. Yeah, I wasn't expecting much, but it is quality though.
Well, that's good. But apart from the cameos, Elijah Wood and a cameo at the start they're fantastic. But Tatiana is just superb. There's we'll get into it in the spoilers. There's a monologue that she gives to the kids after a funeral. Talking
sitting outside,
and she's this mother who obviously her husband has left her, and she's holding that. She's a bit kind of bitter and very direct and to the point with her sons, and she goes into a monologue talking about death and how people die and horrible and this and that. It's just like not exactly what these kids need to hear, but she is fucking brilliant in this. And after like seeing things for She-Hulk and these kind of things, it's nice to see her get back to a decent.
But the thing is, there is she was the positive thing about that show. The She-Hulk is just. I said it to anybody. Like I watched She-Hulk the whole way through, and it's not a great show, but like she brings so much to it. There's so much energy and enthusiasm from her, and so much charisma that she is enjoyable. Now, what they've had her doing in it, and what they did with the She-Hulk character, not great. She's brilliant, and I absolutely loved her in this. Like that scene, just so straightforward with her kids. There's no padding about what life is about. It's such a funny scene.
What would you give it then? Star rating?
I enjoyed it. When I said underwhelmed at the start, maybe it was more disappointed that it's not what I thought it was going to be, which was really creepy, horror and stuff, and it ended up just being more comedy. But I still think 3.5, I think would be fair for it. Like it's not amazing, but it's not long either. It's 100% one that I will watch it again. Definitely watch it again. And it's when it gets on somewhere like Netflix, I can see it doing incredibly well. I mean, it's reviewing well right now, but it's one of those ones that once it gets on streaming, it'll be watched by loads of people because it is just good fun.
Yeah, I think the same myself. 3.5. I just. On one hand, I was delighted that it was a horror comedy and there was no jump scares, I think, at all, which was fantastic. But like in the horror genre, it's when you see something reviewed so well, it's great because it's like even when you try and see the audience score as well to try and see, because the horror genre is so fractured sometimes, where some people will think this is not for them, and generally you would see a split with a movie like this where people are going, "Oh, it's not fucking scary at all," and just like, well, it's not supposed to be scary, or it's not supposed to have jump scares. But I thought it was great. Like acting was great, cinematography was fantastic. Really well directed. I think some of the kind of choices in the latter half didn't make me as invested as I was for the first half of the movie.
Yeah, I think
it's
definitely that was the more interesting part. And I haven't read that short story, but I wonder where exactly where the padding, where the padding came in from it. But it's like definitely the first part of the movie is the best. It's the best, has the nicest feel to it with that 70s aesthetic, despite being set in the 90s. But it's I definitely agree. It's definitely kind of front loaded, but it's definitely worth a watch. I would recommend it, definitely.
Super. Yeah, so go check it out. The Monkey.